Occasionally when I cross the road, I'll do what they call jaywalking. We were in the city just a couple days ago and I did this very thing. I jaywalked across the road. I was standing at a pedestrian crossing waiting for the walkman to turn green, and instead of waiting for him to turn green, when I saw a gap in the traffic, I just crossed the road. So I jaywalked. And the funny thing about me jaywalking on this particular occasion was that on the other side of the road was a motorbike police officer waiting for his green light to turn green so he could ride across the road and continue on his journey. But what was funny about it was that this police officer, he just looked at me cross the road. He just looked at me jaywalking, but he did not see me jaywalking as a worthy enough violation, infringement, for him to get off his bike, walk across the road, greet me, and give me a ticket. Now, the reason why I'm opening this video with this spiel about me jaywalking and the police officer not giving me a ticket is because the topic of this video is, why can't sinners receive communion? And I'm using this as an example, and I'll explain it now. Now, this topic, why can't sinners receive communion, is a huge topic. And basically, the reason why it's such a huge topic is because the church doesn't know who is a sinner and who is not a sinner. So basically, the question of why can't sinners receive Holy Communion is very much something that's left to the presiding priest, or the Eucharistic minister who is distributing this Holy Communion to the receiver of this Holy Communion. So like the police officer who decided that he wasn't going to give me a ticket for my traffic violation, my jaywalking, it's up to the priest, it's up to the minister of Holy Communion to determine whether this person is, for lack of a better word, worthy to receive the Holy Eucharist at this particular occasion, on this particular time. Well, I can't think of too many reasons why someone would not receive Holy Communion at church. And just, for the nature of this video, possibly you would not give Holy Communion to a drunk. Just say a homeless person was to enter into the church and be in the line with everyone else going up to receive our Lord in the Holy Eucharist, and this person had a bottle of alcohol in his hand and he reeked of alcohol. You wouldn't give Holy Communion to this person. That's one example. And I guess we could think of many other examples. Maybe if somebody had deflammatory comments on their t-shirt, for example. Just say someone went up to receive our Lord in the Holy Eucharist and they were wearing a t-shirt and there were swear words on it. There was terrible things on their clothing. Or they were dressed in a way that was not befitting church. They turned up to church and they were basically half naked, for example. If you were a Eucharistic minister, you would not give Holy Communion to this person. You wouldn't shame them. You wouldn't make them feel, you wouldn't make them feel terrible or anything, but you may not necessarily give them Holy Communion. Well, definitely in the case of the homeless person with the bottle of Jim Beam in his hand, definitely you would not give this person Holy Communion. When we receive our Lord in Holy Communion, we should be in the best state possible. These are the guidelines that the church gives us. The reason why we should be in the best state possible is because what we are doing is something very important. We are receiving the very flesh and blood of our Lord Jesus Christ. So we are to try our best to be worthy recipients. None of us are worthy recipients to receive our Lord in this sacrament, but all of us can try our best to be worthy recipients. When we look at the sacrament of marriage, for example, the main requirement of two people to be married is that they have a strong love for each other. They actually love each other. And if this couple were to go through the motions of putting on a tuxedo, putting on a white dress, going to the church, having a presiding priest, having a minister to preside at this holy wedding, but they did not have love for each other, in actual fact, they would not be married at all. And if they went to a canon lawyer, they would have the very grounds necessary to get an annulment. In actual fact, if one was married, if a couple was married and they did not have this foundation of love, they had no love for each other and they never did. In actual fact, they would have never been married at all. So the church, who gives out these sacraments to its people freely, so as we may all grow in the love of Christ, so as we may all be another Christ to the world, for the world, makes guidelines as to how we are to receive these sacraments, what clothes we are to wear, for example. You know, we wouldn't receive our Lord in the Eucharist and wear our beach clothing, for example. No. So the church has guidelines, and these are not to say that, you know, on all occasions this person can't receive communion or that person can't receive communion, but very much like the police officer on his motorbike who decided that, you know, even though I'm jaywalking, I don't really need to get a ticket. Just as guidelines, because none of us are perfect all of the time.